your life and managing your time. So I now begin with saying there's this famous quote that we all know, there's time for everything. That quote came from the Bible. And we need to know to go to this Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 11. It speaks extensively about time for everything. For everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So what we are doing is not strange, is not new. It's something that we should know and we should practice. I began this journey when it dawned on me that I have 5 little boys many years ago, and it was becoming quite, and I have a husband who is a stickler for time. If you're not ready at that point, he may not say anything, but you will see on his face that he's not happy. And yeah, I'm with 5 little boys running around and getting them ready. So I needed to think fast on my feet on how to manage these 5 boys. So most of the things that I'll be sharing here are my personal experience and the experiences of family and friends that I've shared 1 or 2 tips for me while I was struggling with these little boys. And later a girl came in to have a mix and a balance. So we will continue. Then, as a family, we know that the ability to manage time is vital skill for success in school, work, and life in general. So it also helps us as parents. We're not just teaching our children to be time-wise, we're also teaching them to, we're also learning from our children to balance our life, both at work and at home, and even in our family circles and in the society as well. So to accomplish these things efficiently and on time, we'll need to plan and organize our time effectively. So we understand that these children would want always to know that it is important to keep to the routine of a family. So a good time management makes a happy family. Have you seen a grumpy mother before or a dissatisfied father before? If you scratch a little bit, it may not be other things that we know. It's just that probably the satisfied father is one who is a stickler for time. And the grumpy mother is the one who is trying to make ends meet with time, managing the children, managing the family, managing everything that they need. So children and teenagers in particular, I remember those good old days. I was speaking to a friend and telling her how difficult it was to manage my time and with the family. And she looked me hard on the face and said, you know what, Chinelo, children don't have sense of time. You've got to teach them the sense of time. So children and teenagers don't. So tips for your children for effective time-wise children. So we need to understand that children, especially the toddlers, the ones between the ages of 0 to about 7, they don't have a sense of time. You are the one who is going to teach them, and these are tips for you to do. So encourage them to develop a routine. We're going to talk about the morning routine, after school routine, weekend routines. These are routines that we need to let the children know when to wake up, at what time. Back those days, sorry for using myself as an example. Back those days, I was living in Sulere and their school was in Maryland. I know what that means. That meant that we have to wake up on time and then commute to Sulere. To Maryland, for those who are in Lagos, you will understand the challenge of doing that. So we have to, everything, predictability, familiarity contribute to children's feelings of confidence and security. So they have to know that this is the time I'm going to wake up. We have to have a daily schedule and follow them step by step. You don't need to hound the children on what to do. You also have to help them to establish their routine, which is starting small. If you don't have a timetable yet, you have to involve them, and be flexible and make it fun. And then they have to put in their input. If I remember, those days I made timetable and the timetable was for me. But when I involved the children to join me in making the time, they owned the timetable. So it became positive, it became supportive because they know that they were the ones who may have said, this time we should do this, that time we should do it. But there were timetables or routines during school days and holidays. So we had two separate timetables. So break down goals into achievable tasks. So you make your teens day or your children's day a little easier by breaking it down into smaller tasks, like I have said. So as a result, it will seem less overwhelming and manageable, breaking it down into smaller tasks. Put together a visual schedule, like the ones I have, you have to make the timetable yourself. Make an activity, put a note there so that they would understand what to do, that when they wake up, what are they supposed to do? When it's wake up time, it's play time. If you're having a weekend activity, it's play time, it's math practice time, and so many other activities that you may want them to have. And then let them own that activity. So understanding and patience. We need to be patient with our children because like I told you, when they are little, they don't have a sense of time. So specific routines that can help your children develop. Sorry, there are a lot of backgrounds. So this routine is a morning routine that I have said before. A morning routine could include getting up every day at the same time, getting dressed, having your bath, eating breakfast, and packing their pack, and maybe packing lunch. Recently, I was in a group of women, and they were telling me that one of the ladies said, my 10-year-old helps me to pack her siblings' lunch bag. And I was quite impressed. She knows when to wake up. She knows what to do. They have planned the meal the night before. They have planned the meal the night before. And so the daughter knows what to do. This is a 10-year-old. So it's something that you know that it's achievable and it's doable. So after school, what are they going to do after school? Will there be homework? Will they be taking a break? Will there be a sports practice? Or they're getting ready for bed or something? So you have to have after school routine and let them know what they're supposed to do each day and what time. What time do you typically get home? Back in those days, because of traffic, the children may start. I had a child who would do his homework at school because he said by the time he gets home, he's exhausted. If he hasn't finished while in school, in the car, he's doing his homework, So weekend routine, taking care of chores, have to let the children do their chores themselves, especially during the weekends, because weekdays we're rushing in and out, and once we get back, we're tired. We do minimal things. We know things we should take care of. But weekends are those days that we have to pay attention to details, to things around us, what they should be doing, and let the children do the chores and make sure they write everything down, things they need to do. So when you're not there, the children will know that at this time, we're meant to be doing this, and give the responsibility to the oldest. It helps. Because when the oldest knows that at this time, or the one who seems to have that leadership quality, you can pass that responsibility easily to the person and they will own it and recognize that this person is the one who would help us do it better. So make sure that they write everything down. What is the easiest way to reduce stress and overwhelming feelings? When you don't write things down, you think you have it all in your head. It's not going to work. I learned this from my boss back in those days. And then she was a stickler for time. She was also someone who wanted everything on precise. She was almost a perfect person when it comes to details. So in order to keep up with her, you needed to write things down. And that's also shaped the way I do things. I do write when I'm planning. So children are encouraged to put all their to-do lists, tasks and ideas from their minds onto paper. It does help. You may think you may remember, but you may not. And you have to learn to teach your children to start putting things into practice. So the cognitive offloading, so that they don't have too many things and forget. And when they forget, we get upset with them. Meanwhile, it's inclined, we also do the same. So identify barriers and help them overcome them. You know, there are many barriers. You need to look at your own barriers. What are the things that make you not have a proper time management or self-management? You know, what are those things? You know, so they need to face these barriers. They need to be true to multiple people. And some of the common barriers may include distraction. You know, when we have distractions, the children understand that thing. And you can see the picture by my right. I don't know how it's facing on your own side, but my right, you know, so the distraction, the social media, the electronics, the phones, the computers are usually the culprits. And while children would typically, now that they're in school, it's school days, we typically switch off the televisions, you know. That's when it's very difficult. Luckily, we don't have any serious game except the Europa that is ongoing. And then, you know, our daddies who are very much into football would want to watch this football. So when you have just one TV in your house, the daddy would basically make exceptions. He may just deny himself, or he may not be back early, you know, so that he could watch probably the first half or the second half, whichever way the daddy wants to offer up this sacrifice for the sake of the children. So you suggest that they take a break from studying, because sometimes you want them to study all day. You know, sometimes you need to tell them, okay, this is time to break down. Could you just be in the evening? The children, when the sun is down, they go down to play. If you're living in blocks of flats, if you're living just on yourself, in the same on the whole compound, they can go downstairs and play. And then if there are boys, you know that balls will be around, so you may have to shift your cars so they don't break your screens or windows, you know. So they block certain apps and games on their cell phones and computers. Have them keep smart phones elsewhere. When they're studying, their smartphones should not be with them. For the older children, for the younger children, they have tabs, educational tabs. That's not when to use those educational tabs. They need to keep them away from while they do a proper study. So next distraction is the work environment. You know, COVID taught us a lot of things. People were doing so many things, inventing so many things during COVID to help their children study, because schooling had gone online. So people created work environment or study environment for that. If you don't have a library in your house, this could help. Just a corner of a piece could be reading, and then the children will know that this is a work environment, this is a study environment, and can help them learn in the preferred way. And in this method, a child who is visual learner, you can put post-its on the wall or on the surface facing him or her, so that the child sees, because you know the child sees, okay, these are the child can make salient points with post-its and stick on it while studying, so that the child remembers what they're doing. So that's on distraction. Another thing that we do is overscheduling and overcommitting. You know, when we're doing this, we want to pack everything. You know, we're giving the children more respect, teach them how to say no to extra tasks or some or more activities. I have a child who typically, if it's not convenient for him, he will tell you boldly, I would not, this is not the time for me to do it. Can I do it on a later time or day? And if it's convenient for you, you can say yes. If it's not, you look for somebody who can do that. So let your children know that, so that they do not pack everything. Like that person, I remember when I was working, I was doing my youth service, when there were secretaries those days. There were two secretaries. One would typically say no to the managers, and one would say yes. And the one that usually says yes never gets the job done. The one that says no is the one. So you find people tilting to the one that says more, because they know their job will be done. And when she starts saying no to you, just know she can't manage. And then set up a weekly schedule. You know, sometimes it's good. You may have a monthly schedule. You may have a weekly schedule. You may have a daily schedule. You may also have a schedule for school days, but break them down so that the children can, even a 3-year-old child knows there's a schedule in the house. Prioritize what's most important. We know that. Have them schedule free time. There's always time to play. There's this adage that say all work and no play makes Jack a dull person. And then we don't want our children being dulling, so work on an estimate on how long each task will take. And the children know 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes on that. If I'm going to wash my plate, what will I do? And so on and so forth. So these are things that we need to teach the children, and you help them, wake them up at a particular time. They know this and they will commit to it. So procrastination is one of the biggest time stealers, so later. And somebody said later means not doing it at all. There's a sense that is popularly known for that quote, that later means not doing it at all. So most challenging part is starting. In addition to creating stress, procrastinating can take a lot of time. So make sure your children understand why it is hard to start. If you do not have a routine now, you must put on a routine, and then bit by bit, let the children understand that this is how we're going to run our house. This is where we know, even down to the meals you take, you need to plan them. Down to the meals that they're going to take. They know that on Monday we're eating this, on Tuesday we're having this, on Wednesday we're having this, and on Sunday in my house there's a particular meal that can never be compromised, whether I like it or not. Even when I compromise it, they ask me where is the food. So they already, the children, and I have adult children, and they still look forward to the Sunday meal. It's usually in the morning. So use rewards to motivate them, not in the sense of giving them money or probably an extra treat, here and there, but not always, or probably some few minutes of play and all that. And when playing, children should know that there's a time to stop. So they come back home they'll come inside the house at a particular time. And I'm not bragging, but while we were living in a close, once it was the time when my children would have to come back home, wherever they have gone to play, they're rushing home. And a particular parent noticed this and asked the wife, why are these children, once it's this time they are, he said, because they are meant to be in their house at a particular time, otherwise they'll be punished, or disciplined. I like to use, and then set artificial deadlines. What do I mean by artificial deadlines? 5 minutes to 10 minutes to the actual time. It's a reminder. You could set your reminders, your alarm in your 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes to remind you by 8 o'clock, I'm supposed to attend parents first, or 5 minutes to, I'm supposed to attend parents first. That's the reminder, the artificial deadlines I'm talking about. And then you could turn in your assignment a day before the time, or get it ready before the time. So on that day, they're meant to submit their homework or assignments or projects. They are done way, way ahead of the time they're meant to submit them. And this helps children when they get to a higher institution, when they're in the university or colleges as them. So find out when they are most productive and help them to maximize it rather. So when are you most productive, you as a parent? Is it in the morning time? Is it in the afternoon time? Or is it in the evening time? And it's your productivity time that you best work at. I'm a night owl. I'm an owl. So my best time is usually in the evenings. That's when I can work all night and I feel all right. But during the afternoon, because of distractions and all that, and the nature of my work, I may not be able to get some tasks ready. But in the evenings, I'm and that's where you have to know. You have to study your children to find out when are they more very productive. They're in school, but you can't do that while they're in school. You do that while they're on holidays, especially over the weekend, because you may be at work when they're on holiday. So you need to maximize that productivity time for them. Then the next thing is to organize peer support groups. What do I mean by this? These days, in our own time, we didn't have such support because there wasn't so not too many people had had smart phones then, GSM as we used to call it back then, but now we talk about Androids and iPhones and all that. So what are the time peer pressures? These are when, in case your child forgets homework, or a child whose handwriting is very poor, what do you do? He has to do his homework. He has to finish his homework. So how are you going to help that child finish that homework? Meanwhile, you can't read what the child has copied. It may not be in the textbook, or the child may have forgotten to underline the number of questions they're meant to answer. So what do? You go to this support group, who are usually parents of your own child in the same school and in the same class, so you can get feedbacks from them. Oh, there's an assignment in this particular subject. My child didn't copy well. He didn't underline the number of questions, or he said there was no homework at all. I'm just checking up on to see if your own child has. And then if there is, they will tell you and sort things out for you, so the child doesn't go back to school looking overwhelmed by not doing what they're supposed to do so you support them with the peer support groups. So don't be a helicopter parent. Sometimes we want our children to be almost perfect. They're children. They need to play. They need to make mistakes. They need to have the consequences of these mistakes and so many other things. So don't be a helicopter parent, hovering over your child. Have you done this? Why haven't you done this? What are you doing? And all that and all that. It's sometimes it can be overwhelming for these children, and then they need to understand that, like I told you at the beginning, that children don't have sense of time. We need to lead them to have sense of time. And in leading them, we don't need to follow them greatly. So provide them with a place for putting everything. Everything is scattered, The first time I heard this was in my office when my boss said, we need to put things in the right place at the right time, and putting squares in the square holes, and round holes in the round pegs in the round holes. So we know how are their toys? Do they have a basket for it? So that the house is not littered with toys. The house is not littered with books. The house is not littered with shoes. The house is not littered with so many things. So you've got to have a place for everything. This helps them get organized. Remember, time management is self-management. So you have to let them understand these things. And it also helps them, even in school, how to pack their books, not to rumple their books, not to misplace their books, because they know that there's everything. Things are meant to be placed where they should be. So let them play games, the board games, Ludos. Don't mind the ones on the apps. Bring the physical ones. It takes them away from the screen. It takes them away from everything artificial. Bring the thing home. The Ludos, the Scrabbles, the Monopolies. We have Nigerian Monopoly now. The checkers, the snakes and ladders, where are they? Why don't we have them anymore? I hope we all do, so that we can actually help them with these games and help them relax. These are the playtime we're talking about. It helps them to relax. So having board games would help your children relax, help them calculated, and they know that there are things that we need to do. So keep a family calendar handy for important dates like birthdays, anniversary, parents' anniversary. Some fathers don't remember birthdays. They don't even remember theirs, so we shouldn't blame them. But when we have these calendars, the children will say, oh, is daddy's birthday tomorrow? Is mommy's birthday next week? Is Chinedu's birthday? in October, and so on and so forth. So have the family calendar. And if you're going to visit, who are you visiting? Is it on the calendar? Are we planning around this for visiting? You know, whether we're going to visit the grandparents, whether we're going to visit the uncle or the auntie, you know, so the children know. And if something comes up, you have to explain to them, you know why? We can't visit grandma and grandpa today because this came up. Can we do it another time and fix another time? Scheduling, so the children know how to schedule. They know that sometimes you can't, nothing is cast on stone. You may have things that would prompt up that are not within your control. Then you go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. So scheduling, the children begin to schedule their time and knowing that they can juggle, move it from here to there, not because they are lazy, but because something came up and it needed to move. So that is where we are. So keep a family calendar handy for important days, especially those days that are meant to go, if we're going for a picnic, or if we're going to a beach, or if we're visiting. So organize a weekly regrouping session. Last week was chaotic. What happened? You see, I had used the football pitch as an example. You know, when they go out, you see them regrouping, especially after the first half. After the first half, they come back and you see there are some changes that have been made, or even during the match, there's some changes that have been made. One or two changes, one or two players will be called out. So that regrouping last week was chaotic. We just finished a week. What went wrong? And that could happen tomorrow. We sit down and look at it. Why did we go late to school? Why did we go late to school? And late being that you were just in time for assembly. Early means you were able to get to your class, drop your bag, and come down for assembly. Late is that you were just in time for assembly, not that assembly had finished. For me, that's late. Then when somebody gets, there could be things that have caused. Was there a sick child in the house who couldn't get ready? Could I have let the child stay at home while I take the siblings to school and come back to look after this child? Or because I'm at work and my boss will be angry and I'm looking at keeping this child at home means that I have to come home to take care of that child and so on. It could just be that it was a week that everybody is just realizing that school has started. Even though you try to help the children 2 weeks before resumption, you start putting them in the mood of resumption. If they were waking up at 7, you start waking them at 6. If they were waking up at 8, you start waking them 1 hour earlier or even 2 hours. So by the time it's on the first day at school of resumption, the children will get back to that routine of going to school. So these are things we need to do. Was it just because we started school, that's why we weren't able to get to school on time? Or weren't able to go to church on time? What could it be? We weren't able to attend a function or something. So we need to regroup that section so that the children will know that in scheduling that you have to review from time to time. It's not because daddy says this is the timetable, or mommy says we have done this timetable and we're sticking on at it and it's not going to change. No, it's not that way. You have to sometimes organize a weekly regrouping session for everybody, including dad. I know the men, sometimes they don't want to get involved, but it would be nice if you get involved. So we'll move on to the next one. We're almost coming to an end. Move up to the next one. So in conclusion, we need to understand it can be difficult for children and teenagers to stay organized and on track. But it will help them become more confident. It will be less stressful for everybody. The mother is not yelling, have you taken your bag? Where is your socks? Where is this? And this is the time, when we start school, the night before, the children should get everything ready, from polishing their shoes getting their socks ready, getting their uniforms ready and ironed, getting their school bags and homeworks right into their bags the night before. If possible, set it out. You could, depending, you could just at the edge, or if you have a table in their room, you place these things on the table, meaning that nobody will go there after these things have been arranged. So everybody knows that when they wake up, have their bath and all that, they are going straight to the table to pick up that, and let them own that activity. They are the ones. All you need to do is supervise. It will ultimately pay off as you, as a parent, to guide your children toward cultivating better time management skills. Eventually, they'll be able to see and experience the benefits themselves, so that you don't need to remind them over and over and over again. Thank you. So I have thank you in different languages, so you can choose yours.
Yeah, quite brilliant. Yeah. So this has been a time-wise presentation, actually, so on point. We'll be taking comments and questions. There's one already here. Let's see. Shelley Ejo is asking you, Chinelo, yeah, that what do you do when you have a child who prefers the play rather than the work, even with a daily schedule as guide?
Well, Shelley, you have to start in steps. Usually, you could perceive this shortly after the holidays, when we have allowed them too much time for play. So that's why I said 2 weeks before resumption, you would start putting them back in the school schedule so that they will get ready. And during holidays, you should be have your own holiday schedule as well. This holiday, I had 12 children in my home. I traveled. They came when I had traveled. So when I came home, and I noticed that I asked each and every one of them what they did for that, and they said they were watching TV. So I was alarmed. So I called my own children. Most of them are older. My children are older than them. And I called my own children. I said, is that how it is in this house? So I did a timetable for these children who have come on holidays. And I said, see, this is how we live in this house. And surprisingly, they were able to fit in. So you need to do it gradually. Have a dialogue with this child. Why do you like to play? Let the child tell you. Why don't you like to work? Let the child tell you. Then you give the child reasons why they should work and they should play. Both of them go hand in hand. You can't have one above the other. They are on the same level, and there are reasons why you have them the way they are. So that child would not need to tell you, one, why he likes to play, why he doesn't like to work. And then you'll be the one who will now help the child to understand this is how it is. It's not going to be a walk in the park. You're going to do what you're supposed to do. Yes, Hearing School wants to talk.
Not exactly, actually.
Okay.
Okay, you're done with Shelley?
Yes.
Good. Okay, that brings us to Asogwa and Chijoke, who is asking that it's understandable that the mother is traditionally the homemaker. However, in a patriarchal society like ours, more emphasis needs to be laid on the importance of partnership. Raising children is challenging, but sweet and interesting when both parents are involved. Do you want to lend voice to this?
Let me tell you the truth. Most of the things I did, if not with my husband's support, I don't think I'll be able to have achieved.
Come and tell.
Sorry, we'll mute it.
So most of the things that we were able to achieve in the house, because my I probably I'll need to wait till Chigozie Omudiwe.
Yeah, Chigozie.
That's a time-wise child telling you I'm here.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So yes, you're absolutely correct. For this to work, the father and the mother have to be involved, because if the father, like I said, like the TV, they're playing Europa, the man may be a football freak and will say, I really do not think I should get involved with you people not allowing me to watch my TV, my football. If he understands what you are trying to do or what the family should be doing, he knows that he has to forego that TV at that time. What he can do if he must watch is that he has to probably stay out late with some friends, with the boys, hang out with the boys. Some will just watch half for the first half, and then some will prefer to watch the second half. But with our phones now, Daddy can go to his room and put on his data and watch the football. This is just one aspect of how Daddy can get involved. The things that in my own house, I did the laundry, my husband did the ironing, so it was and each time we traveled, I never appreciated the ironing aspect. I thought the laundry was even more difficult, but I never appreciated until he said he needed to travel more often. And then the ironing became part of my own work. But when he was around, he was doing a lot of ironing from from Monday to Friday. Saturday we launder, and then Sunday we iron everything and keep it wet. And those days how NEPA used to be. So we use opportunity when the light is on to do as many ironing, including the Sunday wear, so that on Sunday we're not trapped in case there's no light on Saturday. So Daddy did that iron, homework. During the week, homework, exam, Daddy could do revision. Exam period, Daddy can do revision with the children. There's so many ways, to help the mother to have a combined effort in making sure that things are done well and children are learning from these things that we're doing, so that when they go out there, especially when they're in the university, they will remember. A few days ago, I told my son to make breakfast for me, and he was laying the table. And I said, I don't need all that ceremony. Please, I'm late for work. I'm trying to get it. He said, Mom, but this is how you set the table when people want to eat. You deserve to be served with a bladed table. So you see, it's something you wouldn't know that these children are sponging these things. It's on when you don't expect it. That's when they tell you all the things you've been saying. We've learned it too. Don't worry, just So yes, both parents, mother and father, should please put your hands together and help each other. Where you can't, weekends, do the little that you can, so that the children see their father or their mother working to help, especially when you have maids and the maids are the ones working. Weekends we should do so that the kids can see us, can know that this housework is doable by parents and is not reserved for the house help or anyone who is helping out in the house. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a delicate one here that says, my daughter said she doesn't prepare for anything just because I said it. What should they do?
Well, this is a Gen Z. How old is this daughter? This is a Gen Z. They're revolting, this is the generation of the Y generation, the Gen Zs and the millennials, where they will ask you why. Why should I do this? Why should I do it? Because you said it. And that's why it's important that when we're laying down routines and scheduling, it has to be discussed. They have to own it. I told you when I started, I had attended some parenting class. I came back, okay, let's do a timetable. That timetable was looking at me and I was looking at the timetable. until somebody told me children don't have a sense of time. So I brought them in and said, okay, we need to do a timetable. So during COVID, they did their own timetable. They had time for exercise. They had time for games. They had, we're all indoors. They had time for everything. They had time to read some sort of book. They had time to do some spiritual activities. They had time. They owned it. They did it. I was not involved because they are older now, though. But when they are younger, just ask them, what would you want to do when you're not in school, when you have finished your homework? Who is going to sweep today? Who is going to dust tomorrow? Who is going to do this? Who is going to lead the prayers tomorrow in the morning? Who is going to lead the prayers at night? And you see them owning, oh, me. You know how kids behave. And you ask them, are you sure? And they'll tell you yes. And then you go. You said this. You're going to do it. Yes. So that daughter that is asking you, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, she hasn't owned that job. You've got to have a discussion with her to find out why she's even resisting you. In that way, the child can begin to understand and own whatever it is that you're giving to them. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Brilliantly, actually, to create ownership. Now, how do you handle a child that keep telling you that he doesn't like routines?
These are the creative minds. I have them in the house. They don't like routines. They are the creative ones. They are the ones who may sing. They're the ones who may write. They're the ones who like to daydream. So yes, you don't like routine, but I don't remind you to eat. So you don't like routines, but we have family time for eating. It's a routine. We need to go to church together. It's a routine. You need to be in school. It's a routine. So which of the routines don't you like? Look, these children like conversations. It's not our own time we were told to stand and we stood, to sit and we sat, to run and we ran. This time, you don't like routine. Give that child examples of routines in his or that is the time for you to understand their productive time. I spoke about that productive time. It may not be the time that you want, that child wants, what do you call it? Is more productive. It may be another time. Just find out the child's productive time. That's the routine he or she. Charles, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I think I lost you a bit, but good. All right, so we have somebody asking, first time Emeka Samson asking about they can have a copy of the timetable. I don't know what it means. I'm asking you to specify, or do you get that, Chinelo?
Yes, a copy of the timetable. I'm a home nester, so I don't have a real timetable in the house, but I'm going to look for the ones I snapped when I gave a similar presentation here, like this one. So you need to find out, first of all, you have to have a morning routine, after school routine, and weekend routine. Sit down with your wife, draw out a timetable, then involve the children to own the timetable. Because when to wake up, when to wake up. What time do you typically wake up from Monday to Friday? Because we go to work, we go to school. So what time do you wake up? What time do the children wake up? Because usually your own time of waking up will be different from that of the children. Probably yours will be 30 minutes before theirs. So you get things ready so they can wake up. It depends on what they're going to do. Prayers could be just few minutes, 1 minute of prayer in the morning, so you don't the children can have time. Or even if you want to say Lenten prayer when you're driving to school, if your children are not in school bus, you can do your prayers in the car, so the children know that there's time for everything actually. So I'll send it through the organizers of this program, Parent First. I'll send you what we had in our own time. Thank you.
Okay, in addition to sending that survey, Ekene would like you to recommend books, websites, or organizations that one can get more information on how to raise time-wise children. So they got a kind of a follow-up after this webinar.
Well, these are life skills. So even if you read the books and you don't practice them, well, I would you can Google how to train your children on time management. You see tons and tons of resources there. Google it so that you can. But most importantly, like I've said, it's something that you can start with your family so that they'll know you as a person. How did you grow up? Did you have a timetable at home? If you didn't, so it will be difficult. If you did, fantastic. Growing up, I grew up with a father that was Mr. Meticulous. That's what we call him. And then we know that he's a stickler for time. You can't waste his time. So he will just leave you and go, including his wife those days. So I grew up in that condition. And then I also went to a school where things are being done. So resources are online. I would look for the best and share with the school as well with Parents First, and they will share with you people.
All right.
Assuming you're coming from them.
Great. Yeah. So Emeka would like to know how you would handle children, how you would grapple with children, how you grapple with your children who are in the midst of others who are too free, and your own children feel over-regimented.
We can't run away from life and from society. At this point, I would like to ask parents, do you have a mission statement? A family mission statement? Do you have a family vision statement? If you do not have, you need to, so that the children will see where you are going, where we are all going to. What do we stand for as a family? Are we other people, or are we our own people? This family, the family of Chinelo, the family of Sandra, the family of so many things. We know ourselves. We're not just a pack of people. We're distinct and unique. And because we're distinct and unique, we do things differently. So this is not my style. Yes, it can be regimented. I'll tell you a story. Years back when the kids were very little, my husband was contemplating buying an additional TV. And I said, no, I don't want an additional TV in the house. And the kids will come back from the neighbors. Do you know these people? They have 3 TVs. Do you know these people? They had whatever number of TVs. They have games. They have. And at that time, we didn't, DSTV just came out. We didn't even have, and then these children will come, and I didn't say anything to them. My husband was just wanting to know when he will buy that TV. Then we went for a seminar at Hembridge Study Center in Lagos. And they were talking about parents. They gave us a form. And they said, in one of the questions, how many TVs do you have in your house? And we wrote 1, because that's what we had. And the presenter then told parents why they shouldn't even have more than 2 TVs in their house. If at best have 1. I was so happy. I was jubilating in my heart, because it now supported my reasons for not having an extra TV in the house, because it actually separates you people. When mommy is downstairs with the children watching TV, that is upstairs, because he won't be watching the program that mommy and children will be watching. He'll want to go and watch his football. So it separates the family. There's no bonding. But if there's one TV and we agreed on a particular program to watch, everybody is there watching it and have a time for. So it's something that we need to make the children understand that it's us. This is who we are. And because we are this person, yes, your friends could be, you can, and at that time, my husband came back and explained to the children why we can't even have more than one TV in the house. Years later, we have the DSTV. You know, now DSTV is like what pure water, so it doesn't matter. Those days it was a big deal, you know, to have DSTV. People looked up to those who had DSTV, but now it's pure water. So explain conversations with your children. Explain. Don't say because I said so. It doesn't work with this family. It doesn't work with this generation. You need to break it down. Thank you.
Great. What can a parent do in a situation where all the children are teenagers and have different activities due to schedules that do not align and constantly have conflicts of opinion in terms of time adherence? This is from
Regrouping.
Chidima.
Regrouping. I said it. Regrouping. Yes, teenagers, different activities, but are they in line with their own scheduling and with their own routine? You know, because when you start having adult children, you know, those in the universities, they're going to have different things. At that point, it will now be a personalized routine. It will now be a personalized rescheduling. What they must, if they're at home, what they must do is align it to juxtapose with the family scheduling and routine. So I'm avoiding timetables because some people say they don't want timetable reminds them of school. So that's why I'm using the word scheduling routine. So at what point will the family meet? In the morning for an activity, in the evening for activity. So in between, they own their own routine or schedule.
Now, going back to this Gen Z topic is sometimes annoying, but how do we manage it? Ukuru want to know.
My dear, I am sure the way your great-great-grandparents were brought up was totally different from the way your grandparents were brought up. I'm from the way your parents were brought up. I'm from the way we were brought up. And now these children. I pity the children because they're overwhelmed with so many distractions. And it's our duty to help them remain focused. Once you're able to have a child who is focused, who will tell you this, they would understand. I remember a friend of mine, she dropped her children in my house. We were going somewhere, and this particular child was in primary 6. I was going to, take his common entrances for different secondary school, and we're going out. He said, "No, it's time for me to study." Of course, we understood and left the child at home. Or I made the child remain with him at home so he won't be alone at home or something. I can't remember, but it touched me that this child, even though the parents are not around, he knows that he has to study. So it depends on how we dialogue. These children like conversations. That's why you see them on TikTok, Snapchat, everything. They are conversing with themselves online, artificially. While right inside the house, we are doing separate things. Dialogue. We need to dialogue with these children. We need to understand them. We need them to own the family activities themselves. So dialogue, conversations. That is the only thing. That's what I have discovered. Any other thing, you're pushing them to the wall and they're going to start seeing you as an enemy rather than a parent and then a friend. So let us see the children as a friend, and let us see the children, let them see us as their parent and as their friend. First of all, parents before friends. I don't want to go into that. I know a lot of people will say more of friends than parents. Well, I will say parents and friends. Charles is smiling because this is his area.
Okay, good. We're not going on that lane. So let's follow up on what you just mentioned. Martin would like to know that often we are told to allow some freedom to our children. So where does this freedom come in this regimentation you just described?
I haven't described any regimentation. No. I have described making your children understand scheduling and routines. That's not regimented. Remember, at the beginning, I said, allow your children to own this schedule, these routines. It's not regimented. It's a way of life. Let's get it right, first of all. And then freedom has to come with responsibility. If your child does not understand why he should go out and play and come back by 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., then that child is not responsible. I haven't said you shouldn't play, but I'm said whatever time you choose to play, you must be home at this time. And then that child, you give allowance of 10 to 15 minutes. And if it's just within your compound, how many minutes will you get him to come into the house, have a shower and come down and help with chores if need be? So it's something that we need to make the children understand. Freedom, yes. They have time. When I said schedule for study, I said also schedule to take a break from study. It's not regimented. It's for the child to know that at this hour, if I need to take a break, I can have my break, 5 minutes. When we're in Zoom time, if this is going to last for 2 hours, Charles will say, okay, let's go for a break for 5 minutes, stretch our legs, use the bathroom, grab a cup of water or coffee or something. You hear them say it because they know that you can't be at a place at the same time all the time. So please, let's get it right. When we're doing this timetable or scheduling or teaching our children how to manage their time, we need to let them have some freedom. And at the same time, it has to come with responsibility. If they're owing that time management, scheduling their time, they need to be responsible about it. They can't tell me that they'll wake up by 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and they're waking up by 7. That's an act of irresponsibility. It's not freedom. It's an act of irresponsibility. They are the ones that said they'll wake up by 6. I didn't force them to wake up by 6. So that's why I said you have to, they allow them to own it. And I even went as far as a 3-year-old. Who is going, if you ask a 3-year-old, who is going to take away the toys? They say, me. Who is going to lay the table? Me. 5 years, 6 years, me. Who is going to make sure there are no toys on the floor? Me. Who is going to lead the morning prayer? Me. God help you if you allow a toddler to say a prayer, because you stay there till 30 minutes, they're still rambling. But all I'm trying to say is not regimented. Yes, there should be freedom, but it comes with responsibility. Thank you.
All right, so I have to be a time-wise MC because our time is actually up right now. So please put your there's an attendance, there's a link for attendance here in the chat box. So please just click on the link and then let's just have your attendance taken. We have just 1 minute to do that. While we're doing that,
please come, hurry up.
Okay. While you're doing that, I will just tell Chinelo that Lady Calista said that she has put a timetable to manage her children's varying schedules. However, presently, they made a timetable for chores, but didn't make any for reading and homework, which is done arbitrarily. Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Okay, she has I will have to input a timetable to manage my children's varying schedules. However, presently they made a timetable for chores, but didn't make any for reading and homework, which is done arbitrarily. So maybe more.
Okay, Lady Calista, I hope beautiful. They made a timetable for shows, wonderful because, children know how to cheat on each other. I'm the one who is going to wash plates and so on and so forth. They have to rework that schedule for sure and impute these items that are missing, these activities that are missing. So tell them to rework the timetable. I'm happy they've done the timetable for sure, so they can add timetable for reading and other activities. Why I got into this thing early was because I'll come home and children, who is meant to sweep the floor? It's not me. Who is meant to wash the plate? It's not me. Who is meant to pack the laundry, bring in the laundry? It's not me. Okay, to cut that, it's not me. I did a schedule for everything. Time to wake up, time to do most of the things. And it saved me from having a headache. Because for those who were here earlier, I said, having 5 little boys running around the house